Oh, Andy Liu, this might be my favorite day of the sports year. I don't
Yep.
know if it's my favorite day of the sports year, but it's like, I feel like we're back. NFL starts today.
Yep.
Newsflash for the listeners, we're recording this a little before kickoff, so we're not going to be talking Chiefs, Lions, not that you came here for that. But, NFL is back. FIBA World Cup. We got the semifinals and the finals, and then
Sure.
3 weeks after that, NBA will be back.
Here we go.
MLB playoffs will be starting soon after that. I'm not even a huge tennis guy, but I'm wrapped up into the U.S. Open right now. It just feels like you cross Labor Day, NFL starts, and we're officially back in sports season. Summer's kind of dry. The Bay Area baseball teams didn't give us a lot to enjoy. A lot of camp concern trolling with the NFL, but ultimately all that stuff made me think was dude, we just need some real games so people can stop overreacting to camp clips.
The juices are flowing now. We are absolutely locked in. I mean, you threw out the U.S. Open. I'm watching the U.S. Open, men's and women's. There's this American, Coco Gauff. I've never heard of her, but she's, I guess, the next up and comer. I'm watching her. Alcaraz is unbelievable. He's young, right? So, dude, I'm locked into tennis with you, dude. I'm watching that. I'm waiting for Alcaraz and Djokovic, and yeah, we got football, and we're gonna talk some Steve Kerr and Team USA here, but I don't know, man. We're finally through. We're finally through the dark days of summer where we don't have sports. Now we're back.
I was watching the U.S. Open the other night, and it's going till 11 p.m. Pacific, which means it's going till 2 a.m. there. And I was just thinking to myself, that might be number one on my bucket list of sporting events to go to. I've never been to the U.S. Open. Now I'm going to preface this by saying I'm a lucky guy. I've seen a lot of cool shit in person, sports-wise. Obviously, we've been to many NBA finals with the Warriors. Been to NFL playoff games. Never been to a Super Bowl, but I'm not real.
I heard it's.
I'd rather go to an NFC or AFC championship game with the home crowds personally.
Yep.
I've been to the World Cup, MLB playoff games. I know you've been to World Series, stuff like that. So I was just thinking about it, what sporting event? I'm not really into F1. That doesn't interest me.
Heard it's great.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into it, it sounds like a great time.
Yeah.
And while it would be cool to see a Masters or something, I don't know if it's high on my spectator list. It'd be cool to play a course like that, maybe, but
I'm not
really my thing.
I'm not on golf, yeah.
But the U.S. Open tennis, just nighttime under the lights, New York City, everyone's out there, good energy, seems like it would be my number one bucket list item to go to.
U.S. Open, yeah, it kind of takes me by surprise. I'm with you. I mean, you also get to watch an all-time greats for sure, I think, for tennis, right? Because I think these other sports, hit or miss, even if it's an NFC championship game, you don't know what you're going to get. But dude, you see Djokovic or Federer or some of these guys that have played before, and now Alcaraz, it's an all-time great. I got one for you. You actually brought this up already, and I think I didn't think you would, but you've been to this. You talked about this. This is something that I want to go. I have to go to. It's the World Cup soccer. I've never been to a soccer game. I've never been to one in the U.S., never been to one in Asia, definitely never been to one in Europe, never even been to Europe. The World Cup is in, Sam, do you know where it is in 2024?
It's coming home?
You have no idea. No. It's in, I just looked it up an hour ago. It's in Hamburg, which I don't know where that is. It's Germany. So I feel like at least that's what I'm reading. Am I wrong?
The 2026 FIFA World Cup.
Oh, I'm looking at something else. Okay, I don't know what I'm looking at.
It's in the United States. It's coming to I think Levi's.
I don't know what I'm looking at then.
That's so funny. I thought because you're teeing it up perfectly, because 2026, which is the next men's World Cup.
Sure.
Yeah, it's North America, so it's partially in Mexico, partially in Canada, and mostly in the US. I'll pull up the map right now.
I might be talking about an Olympics thing. That might be, so that's my fault. I might have been looking at an Olympics thing in Germany. But if it's in the US, even better. I did not even know that.
You have no excuse. I'm assuming, I have to double check. I'm assuming it's Levi's for the World Cup.
I might be out then. I might be out. Because here's the thing. As you're pulling this up, here's the thing. My big thing about about wanting to see these
You want to
big
see it
soccer tournaments.
in not your backyard. You want to see it in a
it looks crazy. The crowds look insane. Even you look at like a baseball game in Japan or Korea. Are you seeing these crowds? They're unbelievable. I went to Taiwan to watch a basketball game. It was insane.
That's a sneaky bucket list item, by the way. Like watching baseball in Japan, it's just a different culture. It looks, quite frankly, like a more fun atmosphere than, or just different. I mean, than an American one, right? So.
I'm out on World Cup in the U.S. now. Now that you ruined it for me, Sam. 2026, you ruined it for me. I'm out.
Well, you could go down to Guadalajara, get the authentic feel, or Mexico City, or Monterrey. Like I guarantee you, the games that are played in Mexico City will be worth your while for a trip. And I am correct; it is Levi's. I mean, I don't know which other venue they would really be able to pull off in the Bay Area, but Levi's is getting one. I will say, when I was 9 years old, I went to the World Cup in 1994, and they played at Stanford Stadium. And that was kind of the first experience I ever had with professional soccer. It kind of, it got me. I was 9, I was taken by it, but it felt super authentic at that age because it was Brazil versus, I want to say, I'm gonna have to look it up because it's gonna bother me, but it wasn't a super. Well, it was a group stage match, just being honest. So it wasn't like it was Cameroon. There we go. That's who they were playing when I went to that game. Brazil won, I want to say 3-0 or something. 3-0. Good memory. Anyway,
Jesus.
I remember going to it, and everything outside Stanford Stadium is Brazilian fans playing drums, playing music, and then Cameroonian fans doing the same thing. And it just felt like you were, transported there. People travel from around the world to see their favorite team. So even if, going down to Santa Clara doesn't feel like a World Cup atmosphere, I guarantee you whoever's playing there, it's going to be mostly that country's fans. They're going to be traveling from all over the world. They'll have an atmosphere. So I don't know. I ask you to think about it. I've been to a couple World Cups. So
that's so the 2024, which is what I guess that was what I was looking at. It's the Summer Olympics. That's in France. So like that to me is like, okay, I want to do that, versus Levi's where you and I take a cow train down there.
I've never been to an Olympics. It does sound fun to go to the Olympics. Is it
a different atmosphere? Is it a different?
I mean, you get the whole world there.
Yeah, that's cool.
I feel like it depends what events you go to. If you get into it, I don't know what is Olympic track and field like in person.
Yeah, that's true. This Noah Lyles guy who we just learned about. I mean, he's fast. So
that's my guy.
Be cool.
I like him. I like him. I like him talking trash to the NBA a little bit. I'm team Noah Lyles here. I'm out on everyone being like, obviously we would beat everyone. Well, you didn't do it, So while I agree you would be favored, and whoever wins the NBA championship should never lose to whoever wins EuroLeague, you still have to play the game. Enough of this, like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Karl Anthony Towns saying, I'm the greatest jump shooting big of all time. Okay? You're just like giving yourself an award based off the fact but you didn't actually prove it in any sort of competition. You know what I'm saying? Like, enough of this, like, just because you're better on paper doesn't mean you get to give yourself a metaphoric title.
And we can segue that right into the Team USA. They've got a couple of big games playing. I think Noah Lyles is a little love of the fame there. I did not enjoy the speech as much. What's that, the hand waving and stuff like that. But hey, I mean, look, man, he's the best in the world, right? So I mean, there's not much you can say. Team USA certainly doesn't look like the best in the world right now, but they've got a shot to prove it. And with 2 more wins.
Yeah, they play Friday morning, 5:30 a.m. We'll be locked in, going back and forth in the group chat. I know you'll be awake. I mean, I'll be whatever. Anyway,
I will be. I was awake for the last game, and then they went up.
You caught me off guard a little bit there. And then we got potentially the finals on Sunday. Nice little precursor to Sunday football. I can't get too mad about that, right?
So good.
So
especially if it's SGA, they get to play Canada, Dylan Brooks. So it's almost like an NBA game at that point. You've got Jalen Brunson and Anthony. I mean, Anthony Edwards versus SGA 1-on-1 is what I would assume it's going to go down to in the fourth quarter. That's must see TV, man. Those are the two best. I mean, those are the two next American faces of the NBA, right? I mean, so that's God. I need it.
Two best perimeter scorers under 25. Apologies for forgetting some. I guess Luka is technically still under 25. Technically a perimeter scorer, but yeah, it'll be fun. And actually, I didn't really think about it, but I kind of do hope we get the USA versus Canada. It'd be a fun matchup because someone like Shea wants to prove he's the best player. He might be the best player on the court between both teams. Definitely been the best player of the tournament overall. So it'd be fun. But the USA has to get through Germany first. Right? And Germany kind of gave them a tough one in qualifiers. Just a classic European team, ugly up the game. We're going to test their size a little bit. So it'll be a fun one. And, as much as we want Canada, it's not like Serbia's a slouch. They're always a good team, even though Jokic isn't playing. I would not be shocked if they won that game either. So some good games tomorrow. We'll see how it plays out. How much are we going to slander Steve Kerr if he does not win a gold medal?
It's not going to be pretty for Steve Kerr. Now, I mean, Team USA, they a few years back, they had finished 7th or something too, right? So I think they're not foreign at this point to losing some of these big games.
Just like, Pop was the coach then, can't win anything without Tim Duncan. Steve can't win anything without Steph. You know what I'm saying?
I don't understand the Tyrese Halliburton stuff. I really, really, really don't. But I watch this team, and honestly, they should still win. They should still win each game by 10 points. It's just, they're so much more talented. It's not just close.
They're just not talented enough to no show a half.
Right.
That's really all it comes down to. It's like if they focus, they'll overwhelm anyone.
Really, that's really it.
Yeah, but if you decide to no show a half and let Lithuania get hot on you, you could get screwed over. So,
and then Lithuania gets their ass beat. I mean, a lot of this is matchups, but they got their ass whooped.
Sure.
But I mean, the game after. So,
don't you agree with me if Jaren and Ant and those guys come out just a little more focused and don't go down 20, they probably don't lose that game. No. It's probably a tight one because Lithuania can really shoot the ball, but they should beat them. They beat them in the second half, basically. So
yeah, they did. They whooped them, and you give these guys confidence. Same thing. Same thing for Germany tomorrow. Dennis Schroeder, it's like
Franz,
these guys. Yeah, the first time they played, it was a tough game, like you said. It went down there till they kind of pushed the lead up to 10. But I don't know.
You see, so much better. You see Schroeder's shooting splits on the quarterfinal game.
That's honestly impressive. Honestly, 4 for 26.
Elite tour date, 426.
Holy I haven't even Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson, they had some bad shooting games last season. They didn't even go 4 for 26. That's actually impressive for you to shoot 26 times. 26 times.
You're sitting at 2 for 18. You're like, next one. Next one's got to go. Yeah.
Respect that.
Reminds me, Klay went 3 for 19 in the game. They lost game 6 to the Lakers. Still not as bad.
Why bring
everyone's got a bad shooting night. The difference is Klay. I don't want to say excuse it, but he's a shooter. I don't really recall Dennis Schroeder ever being a shooter. Anyway, transitioning that, we missed this, but came out kind of right before Labor Day weekend. ESPN put out their voted polls for who's going to win the Eastern and Western Conference. And I'm going to start with the Western Conference here. In fact, that's all we're really going to talk about. It follows how they think the standings will go, which is exactly how it should go. And so 76% of the voters said Denver is going to win the conference. Then 12% said Phoenix. Third, Warriors with 8%. Fourth, Lakers with 4%. And then Clippers, Wolves, Kings, feels like they each got like one vote type of thing. So, it should follow what they project their standings to be. It'd be really weird if you project someone to finish 8th, but you think they're going to win the conference. I guess when you look at this, does anything surprise you here?
The Lakers seem pretty low over there in fourth, around the same thing as the Warriors. I guess that's a little surprising. And then the Clippers, I guess people are just out on them now, huh? That's pretty funny.
I'm
so it's
guessing,
a little surprising.
Looking into it, it's mostly LeBron's 39. He was injured last year.
Right.
It's probably not going to get better this year. They should be a good team, but I kind of agree. To win a title, they need LeBron to be LeBron, and they need Anthony Davis to shoot the ball like he's in the bubble. And I think we can all agree the reason the bubble was fake is because guys like Anthony Davis do not shoot the ball like that outside of the bubble.
Ever.
So while I think they're going to be a dangerous team, and honestly, they acquire the right shooter, they might be good enough to win it all anyway. They do feel I can understand why you would be lower on them, because winning a title, it's 2.5 months in the playoffs. You got to be able to hit some. I say this after they beat the Warriors. I think they're going to be good. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a better record than the Warriors. They have a pretty nice deep roster, I guess you could say. But which one of LeBron and AD is going to be a guy who can consistently hit jumpers when a team packs the paint?
Christian Wood. Did you see that signing, by the way?
I did. My Christian Wood prediction is we're going to see hilarious talk about how this Laker team is the deepest team of all time, and Christian Wood's going to be cut before the playoffs start.
Yeah.
Nothing. Did you see Christian Wood's statement? I'm going to pull that up real quick.
Oh, no. Now that one I did not.
You know what? I'm going to let you see it in real time because it's.
Oh, no. Look, while you pull that up, a lot of people texting me like, hey, like, Christian Wood went for this much? That's it? Vet min? 2-year contract? Second year play option?
Just a loser's loser. He texted this to Mark Spears, or Mark Spears posted this text.
Uh-oh.
Who knows if he texted his agent. I've always wanted to be a Laker. I know we can win a championship. Communication with a coach is a big key. Coach Ham and I go back to our Milwaukee days, and we've had great conversations every day about this opportunity. He believes in me and told me I'll be playing a big role and knows what I can do. I'm looking forward to this and for sure motivated after what Dallas did. What did Dallas do?
What did Dallas do?
They asked him to rotate on defense. I don't know. I'm stealing that from friend of the show, Kirk Henderson. He's like, he texted that. He's just like, what they do? Ask you to not foul on defense? That sort of thing.
God.
I didn't think Christian Wood was going to work in the sense of he's not a playoff player, But reading this quote, does this not just scream, I didn't get anything that happened to me last year. I'm the victim. No. He's going to be out of the rotation, is my prediction. LeBron and AD are going to talk him up because that's what, guys do. They're like, we're going to make it work. And by February, he's going to be traded for nothing.
This is the typical lifespan of a player that is going to be playing in Hamburg, Germany. Now that's stuck in my head. He's going to be playing in Hamburg, Germany in a couple of years. Dude is immensely talented, right? He can shoot the ball. He can handle a little bit, especially for a big guy. He's super long and big, but I mean, isn't mindset just the biggest thing? And I'm sure Christian Wood's agent texted the Warriors and said, hey, look, how about my guy, right? I'm sure that happened because you go to the Warriors, you get a role, you get paid after, right? Like it could work out theoretically if you're Christian Wood. And I'm sure that Steve Kerr saw that text and said, fuck off, right? And Steve Kerr would be right because you don't need that type of player. The last two sentences of the text is hilarious, right? Obviously, you talked about the last one with
what
Dallas.
they did to me.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr.
It's funny.
Steve Kerr, they definitely contacted the Warriors. Dunleavy took it to Steve. Yes. Steve did this. Not in my locker room.
Wow, that is quick. That is impressive.
Not in my and you know what? He's 100% correct.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with Christian Wood.
At least
even though you're right, like stretch big with length and athleticism, in theory, that's perfect, right? But he just wants the ball. He thinks he's a man,
What happens when he has to play 12 minutes in a game, right? For the Lakers. What happens if he gets benched? What happens if LeBron yells at him because he shouldn't shoot the ball, right? Like what happens then? And
or what happens when he does only play 12 minutes a game because he can't defend, and they're like, we're just going to use you like a Mo Spates type, which is kind of what he is.
Sure.
Does he start sulking again? They're playing Rui Hachimura over me. They're playing. Do they have Bismack beyond Jackson Hayes? I don't know. They're playing these guys over me. I'm better than them. And it's like, dude, need you to defend and hit an open shot. I don't need you, going up into your post game. We got AD and LeBron to do that, right? So hilarious signing. I think the Lakers would be really good, but he's going to be I think he'll be a nice source of comedy for you and me this season. And then they'll get rid of him and be serious, and they'll be like, I got to deal with that again.
Yep. That's a great point. The real surprise, though, Sam, here is I think the Phoenix Suns are this year's Clippers, man. I don't get it. I don't see it. 12%.
Would you buy them if they traded Ayton for – I was thinking about this. Would you buy him if they traded Ayton for goons who are more winning players in that role? I'm trying to think of a name, and the fact I can't come up with a name is probably the problem. But I'm not. I think Booker, KD, and Beal will put up a lot of points, but that team needs Draymond, Bam Adebayo, one of those type of guys playing the role that Ayton's going to play. And they're going to lie to themselves and say they can make Ayton do that. But we've seen him. He's a guy who wants touches. He's not that type of player. And so I just wonder, what if they make a decision midseason to flip Ayton? I guess I have to come up with a name to make this hypothetical worth your while. But
I think that, but I also think, do we know that Beal, Booker, and KD are going to be this great effective scoring trio, or are they just going to be effective at scoring and not winning? Because Bradley Beal is going to play the point. Devin Booker is going to start the offense. KD is going to handle the ball more. I don't see any of those guys as great playmakers. They're all great scorers, at least for KD and Booker, great scorers.
Let me ask you this: was the Nets' issue that KD and Kyrie weren't able to be effective offensively, or was it every other aspect of the game?
Well, I think their thing might have been off the court stuff, right?
Forget the dalliances of missing time and PTO that Kyrie would take.
So why did they lose to Boston? That Nets team, right? They lost to Boston. Like, from your perspective, why did they lose to Boston? It's a close series.
That's fair. Those were all low-scoring games. Yeah, they just kind of went hero ball at the end of those games. They couldn't generate good enough offense.
I think. Yeah. That's what I think. So it's like, how good now. Book is probably better than Kyrie at this point. So maybe they're going to win a bunch of regular season games. But I don't know. I kind of got to see it.
They definitely are going to run through a lot of teams in the regular season. We know what regular season ball looks like. They're going to have one of those months where everyone's shooting 50% from three, and they're going to feel inevitable. Like, I think all that's going to happen. My thought is, if they turn Ayton into the right type of defense winning piece, they could be dangerous. The Nets never had that. I think Book is more of a winner than Kyrie is also. Like, he just is in some ways. And I don't know. I do think it's a little high. It's a lot of talent, but it does feel like guys who aren't defense first on their lens. I think that the other thing I notice here is, do you think anyone outside of Denver, Phoenix, Golden State, or the Lakers has a realistic shot?
No. Because that's how basketball works. No.
I like what Minnesota and the Kings are building, but I don't see them. And I'd throw OKC into there too. It feels a year early that any of those teams will break through. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think maybe in a year's time, OKC might make the Warriors and Lakers.
I was going to
really
say
old,
Yeah. Maybe give them like 2 years. Maybe they. Yeah. I mean, they still need another star. Maybe that's Jalen. Maybe that's Giddey. But Yeah, I mean that's it.
Yeah,
Memphis. Every year we do the same dance.
I'm selling my Memphis stock. Well, I wasn't holding on to any. All right, that brings us to our big Warriors question for the season. We're doing 12 questions, one question every episode until camp opens. This is our third one. All right, we're looking at these West projections. Who's their biggest challenger in the West? One team. Who are you picking?
The team right next to them, the Los Angeles Lakers. I think that's the team. I think that's the biggest challenger. I think people are going to say that disrespecting the Denver Nuggets, they should probably be the answer. But I mean, you pointed it out, man. That's a deep team. They've got Austin Reeves looks like he's making a leap, even though he had a bad game there in FIBA. But it looks like he's going to be the third star for that team. They've got defensive players. They've added Taurean Prince, good role player. They have D'Lo there for regular season minutes. They're going to bench him when the games actually matter. Gabe Vincent's a dog. Like, they just got guys all over the place on that roster that fit perfectly with LeBron and AD. It's like when the Warriors decided, okay, you know what? Maybe we don't want Kelly Oubre. Maybe let's just get Otto Porter, who's more of a Warriors player. It's like the Lakers just figured that out. It's like, let's just get guys like Gabe Vincent and Taurean Prince, who are just good role players that LeBron has played well with his whole career, and let's just run with these guys. Jared Vanderbilt's good. Rui Hachimura's good. So I don't know, man. I think it's the Lakers. You probably have a different answer.
I do. If it's the Lakers, the Warriors effed up again this season, is my perspective.
Yeah,
the more I play back last season, the more I really think they gave away that series offensively by just turning the ball over nonstop. I think they could defend the Lakers fine. That Lakers team was not scoring the ball particularly well, and I think they still have the same issue, which is they can't shoot. They have no one who could shoot the ball. Now, they can really defend. They're going to make a game ugly, but I just what Denver did to them was basically, we're not going to turn the ball over and we're going to shoot. Like, you just can't hang with us. We're going to shoot 40% from three and you're not, that sort of thing. And so I feel like if the Warriors just play closer to their brand of basketball, yeah, AD is going to cause a lot of issues. Yes, LeBron is still an all-time great, even if he's diminished, but really fixing turnovers enough should be the Warriors to beat that team. I'm going to go with the Denver Nuggets. I'm going to read some numbers to you.
Uh-oh.
Nikola Jokic will be 29 years old in the playoffs. Aaron Gordon will be 28 years old in the playoffs. Jamal Murray will be 27 years old. Michael Porter Jr. will be 25 years old. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope will be the old man at 31.
It's my guy.
They won the title last year. Every one of those players is, you could argue they're still not to their absolute prime. I think they will be better. And while I do think Jokic having to guard high pick and roll does give the Warriors one specific advantage, that's just a really talented team. They keep getting better. I think everything runs through them. It just does. I'm going to give them the championship tip of the cap. I'm going to say they're the toughest matchup, even though I do agree with you, like Anthony Davis and the Laker construct does do stuff to frustrate the Warriors. I'm going to have to side with Denver. They won it all. I'm going to give that.
I think that's a fair call. I think those are the two teams that, if you're a Warriors fan, you're the most worried about. Like, I'm not that moved by the Suns. We talked about them, the Clippers, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, Denver, dude, the argument is probably stronger with Denver. The only thing I would push back on is that Michael Porter stuff. I think a lot, for them hinges on, okay, are they going to win 2-3 titles? Because I think they easily can if Michael Porter makes a leap. But I also think that there's a shot that maybe they just kind of go haywire a little bit of disease and more with Michael Porter there, because he wasn't great. He wasn't great. And
he was great against the Lakers, but
right,
yeah,
he was frustrated because he was, there were better guys. Bruce Brown's gone. Is Christian Brown maybe a better role player fit than Michael Porter in specific series? So
he was really bad versus Miami, but he was huge versus. I didn't think about that, but you bring up a good point. Is he going to be comfortable being a matchup piece? Where, you know, all right, the Lakers can't guard you and you're going to go nuclear, taking advantage of them overplaying Jokic. And then we're playing Miami and Miami's, you know, muddying it up. And we need more Bruce Brown in this game.
It's a fascinating one. I know that one is crazy. He's got a lot of injuries. He's like not as
that's the other part.
He was, right? Yeah. We know Aaron Gordon's like he's the Andrew Wiggins of that team. Like we know he's going to be the two-way guy. He scores just enough. He's going to be on the court, right? Jamal Murray.
He likes his role. He doesn't want any more.
He's good.
Very
he's so good too. Just like Wiggins when he shows up. Yeah, man, Michael Porter. I think that's the one. That's the one. But I mean, you're right, man. They've got the best player in the world. They've got Jokic. I don't know what you're supposed to do with Jokic. As great as Draymond and Looney are, like Jokic. Dude, Jokic owned Anthony Davis for 4 straight. Owned him. And Anthony Davis is the best defensive big right now in the NBA, in the world. And Jokic just fucking torched his ass.
Yeah. And Jamal Murray, too. They couldn't guard Murray either. And it was just... I actually think they did a decent job guarding Jokic. They made life difficult, but they hit shots. They have guys who hit shots everywhere, and the Lakers don't. No. It's that simple, right?
Well, so unless the Lakers play the Warriors, then all of a sudden you've got what's that dude's name that hit a bunch of shots in Game 4? I forgot. I honestly, you know what I mean? Lonnie friggin' Walker. You know, maybe it's a LeBron Steph thing. LeBron just has bullshit guys make shots all the time.
People are gonna take this, but I'm not saying the Lakers can't beat the Warriors again. I just, when I look at it holistically, I still think everything runs through Denver, and that's kind of how it should be, you know. So I'll leave it there. Something else happened in the Bay yesterday.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you heard about it.
Giants back to 500.
Just forever, perennially 500, right?
Go win some games. Sorry for the scare. Go win some games.
Nick Bosa has re-signed with the 49ers, and we were talking about it, but just so Klay Thompson in the way he, like, the monotone, the deadpan, funny. I don't even think he realizes he's funny, but it's the same type of thing, and it kills me.
Yeah, total goofball. Like Klay only thinks of what? Just a couple things. He thinks of Rocco. He thinks of a boat, and he thinks of shooting the hoop, right? Shooting hoops. Bosa probably does the same thing. I mean, what does he think about all day? Probably just protein shakes and pre-workout and rushing the quarterback. Like that's it. I mean, I'm sure that's all Bosa thinks about. Thank God the Niners got it done. Thank the heavens, Sam. Now I'm like, so you know me through the stages of being a Niners fan. I'm locked in now, dude. I'm so optimistic. So Kittle's back.
The vibes are back. Vibes are back. Yeah, I picked Kittle in fantasy. Naturally, right after I do that, it's like Kittle missing practice. I'm like,
of course he is.
And then, of course, he's back the next day. I'm like, never in doubt. I knew it. I have a good feeling about him this season.
He's a great player.
I do. I mean, he is. But good player versus fantasy player, not the same thing. So
you don't get points for blocking. That's for sure. You don't get fantasy points for blocking.
No, you do not. I tried to propose that. I was like, hey, he should get some of the credit for all those McCaffrey yards. Everyone's like, no, that's not how fantasy works. Stop.
What do you think of the Bosa stuff? Like, it felt like that contract could have been done a week or two ago. Did the Niners win anything by waiting a week or two? I don't know. It's all water on the bridge now, I guess. I'm sure Bosa is going to show up healthy and ready to go, but still.
It did seem that the number came out at within like 2% at exactly the number it was going to come at. You know, he got when Joey Bosa signed his deal, the cap was 18% lower. Nick Bosa basically got, I don't know, like 15 to 18% more than Nick Bosa did, which makes sense. Cap's that much higher, blah, blah, blah. It's like very uninteresting. There was one thing that did catch my eye. Like they did some cap maneuvering with Kittle and Trent Williams. And I wonder if that's where the real holdup was. Like, not about the money they're committing to Bosa, but like, how do we move the chessboard and move money around to make sure we don't have to, signing him costs us George Kittle next year or that sort of thing. It felt like that sort of thing was going on. And I don't know that to be true, but I will say it does make me optimistic about the organization in the sense of good teams are able to get their players to renegotiate and work with them to make sure everything works. Like you could tell Trent and Kittle and those guys, like they wanted Bosa. They like him. They want the team to work. They trust that they're not going to get screwed over. And so they did their side of it. You know who never does that stuff? Like the Raiders, like that teams where it's always like contentious between management and the players. And I don't mean to pick on any one team, but it's like you see it in all sports. Organizations that have good reputations get the benefit of the doubt from players in the way that teams with bad organizations don't. It's kind of that simple. So I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah, I know about the restructuring. That's curious why they would open it up cap for this season or
it's like the NFL cap stuff is by far the most complicated because it's not guaranteed like the NBA fully, and there's a difference between your salary and your cap hit and bonuses, and it's just like it's all just a game of like spreadsheet BSing, honestly, right? So from our perspective, I don't know how much it matters. Like I like that sort of stuff, but
yeah. Shout out to Parag. Then I guess the Niners get it done. They had to pay him. They couldn't even think about trading him. It couldn't be a Buckner situation, right? So now they are locked and loaded. I mean, I'm ready. I'm ready
too. We'll be back. We'll be back after Sunday's games. We'll be back. We're getting closer and closer to season starting. FIBA will be over basically 2 weeks, and then Warriors camp's going to open. We can create a bet on who will Draymond punch. My money's on Dario Saric.
I was gonna say it will not be Dario Saric. It will.
Saric will punch him back. Though.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. And
exactly.
That's what they need.
Yeah, you're right.
That is exactly what they need.
You're right. They need a little. Yeah, you're right. Chris Paul. It's gonna be Chris Paul. That's exactly what it's gonna be.
There's a lot of guys. A lot of guys. All right, we'll get out of here. Appreciate